Hello, my name's Lori Goldberg. It's Wednesday, June 5th. I'm talking to you from Vancouver, Canada. I'm sitting in my studio, which is located in the backyard behind my house. I was born in Vancouver, and I live and I work here. I'm a practicing artist, primarily a painter, teacher, and single mom. I became a single mom when my boys were 3 and 5 years of age. Even though parenting was a full-time job and more, I continued with my studio practice, even though my work did take a different direction. I exhibited and sold my work throughout raising my kids. I've been a part-time teacher in the Continuing Studies Department at Emily Carr University of Art and Design for the past 22 years, and I don't separate my studio practice from my teaching. I see one informs the other. My personal life finds its way into my work. I use materials found in my home to create my ideas, either as subject matter or materials themselves. I'm presently engaged in creating socially engaged projects where intergenerational groups come together in public spaces, and I facilitate different projects, usually about climate change or social commentary about ways that people can accept each other regardless of who they are. And I believe that all those years of teaching in art institutions have inspired this type of work. When I was in art school in Toronto many years ago, I had an opportunity to visit New York City, and it was a life-changing experience for me. It was the first time I saw paintings created by the New York Abstract Expressionist School. Usually I saw them in art history books, but in person, a very different experience. I really experienced that raw expression and physical power of the paint and brush, and it profoundly affected me. It was a pivotal time in my life. I knew that language well, but I was afraid to express it myself. But now that I was amongst my mentors, I felt more confident. So when I went back to school, I changed my department from the academic fine art focus, where I was stumbling and learning academic historical techniques in painting, and went into the experimental department and started to fling paint around, and I haven't looked back. The artists that I was drawn to at the time were Arshile Gorky, Willem de Kooning, Franz Klein, Robert Motherwell. And then over the years, the discovery of all the women artists from that period started to be shown in different museums, and the list has gotten much longer, including Mary Abbott, Helen Frankenthaler, Grace Hartigan, Elaine de Kooning, Lee Krasner, and Joan Mitchell. And I also wanted to mention another time in my formative years that made a big impact in the way that I make my art, and that was a trip to Bali, Indonesia in the mid-'80s, when at that time there wasn't a lot of Westerners. There was something really pure about this place and the people. I was inspired by their spirituality, and specifically their belief in animism, which states that everything has a life force. I recall walking along a pathway and coming across a man who had laid out his tools of trade and was giving offerings to them. I asked him what he was doing, and he said he was celebrating their tools and having a birthday party. I was so moved by that experience, and it just affected me so profoundly, the idea that these inanimated objects could actually have a life force. And I decided that I wanted to bring that into my own practice. And so when I returned back to my studio, I started to look at my tools and my paints and my brushes and canvases in a very different way. And now I don't take them for granted, and I feel that they are a collaborative effort in the way that I make my art. You know, over the years, my artist career has limped forward, and I've had only a few ample breakthroughs in the art world until recently. Last year I attended an artist residency in China, and this year I was asked to join a blue chip gallery in Beijing in the famous district called 798. I was offered a solo exhibition, and I just returned from attending the opening. It happened so quickly, and I'm thrilled with the experience, but I'm still unpacking all that has happened because it's been so intense and it's just such a short time. My paradigm as an underrepresented artist has changed forever. I finally got my 15 minutes of fame. I had to go to China for this, but hey, if that's where my audience is, so why not? My exhibition is still running until mid-June. Then after that, it will travel to other parts of China. In the meantime, once I recover from my jet lag, I'll be returning to my studio to continue working on my theme, the poetics of the discarded, a theme that I've been exploring for the past 5 years, about the journey of plastic in our air, land, and water. It's a global conversation I feel strongly about, and I want to make a small ripple of change through my art. I think the biggest challenge of being an artist is balancing what you do in your studio and how much you spend in the administrating, all the paperwork, trying to promote yourself, applying for grants and submissions to exhibitions, online, in person, and also, sustaining the practice when economically it's always a challenge. And then if you do get recognized, how to navigate the art world and how to balance the demands of production and know where boundaries are and limits, but push them all the same. I think it's important to stay true to yourself and to keep on finding the inertia to begin again when you take off time traveling. If I was going to advise myself, my younger self, what would I say? I think I would say be brave, courageous, walk through doors before you close them, trust more, and believe in yourself. And most importantly, follow through with opportunities, even if you're scared. When I went to art school, my focus was on sculpture and fabric arts. But I chose painting. I have this 3D sensibility, so I'm always thinking in spatial ways. And I tend to kind of work as a sculptor, kind of editing my work as I go along. As I said before, I'm very concerned about climate change, and so I just started to use my trash from the packaging of the food that I purchased, and I would cut it up, and then I used the conventional sewing machine to sew them together, and I started to eventually make a series of fish mobiles. Where I come from, the salmon is overfished here, and it's one of these types of fish that everyone covets because it's so delicious. But we're starting to see less and less fish coming back. So I started sewing these plastics into salmon shapes and adding glass, and then using resin to coat and connect all the different surfaces together, and then hang them with fishing line to create a school of fish as mobiles. Right now, you can find some of them hanging at the local airport, and they're on display there for the next few years. When I'm in my studio and working, I tend to listen to a variety of music, mostly classical and jazz. I'm in a book club, and sometimes I don't have time to read my books, so I listen to them on tape. And then other times I just want to have silence, just be immersed in my painting and listen to the sounds around me. I've had many different reactions to my work over the years. Recently in China, there was a lot of posing in front of my work and then taking selfies and then posting them on their social media handles. I remember a parent having a child with them and it was crying out of control, and they brought the child in front of my painting and it just stopped and their eyes just opened up really large and it started to laugh. I love that. And then there's the opposite, where people have sit in front of my painting and cried. I think the best reaction is when someone is so moved that they want, they have, I guess, they don't have the control of their emotions. And I feel like my work is doing its job. And I guess the best is when someone is so moved by my work that they have to take it home and live with it. What I hope is that, when people do experience my work, they experience it viscerally, and then they want to look at it for long periods of time and see it as a portal into another world. So right now I'm just preparing for an exhibition for the end of summer in September in an area called Smithers. It's 17 hours by car in my province in a small community. I'm looking forward to that experience. I'm going to be doing some workshops there as a way of connecting to the community. You can find my work posted on Instagram and Facebook under the handle LoriGoldberg.art. Thank you very much.